guys, Jan here in the North View Model Shop, and guys, I just checked out a really great video on basic intro to airbrush and coverage of air compressors by Mr. Gill over at Red Dragon Model Works. Guys, I'm going to put a link down in the bottom here. Get over and check this out. Gill's going to do a series of videos as well worth the time. And in watching this video, it kind of struck me as I had read a comment in one of the Facebook group things not too long ago talking about the exact setup I have here and how it doesn't work. I did voice my opinion and concerns and then continued to follow the thread, and the information, to be honest, was a lot of bullshittery because the system does work. You don't need to go out and buy a very expensive high-end airbrushing compressor to do the job. Now mind you, those probably do work really well. But you don't need to have professional grade stuff if you're not going to be doing professional grade things. If your livelihood doesn't rely on it, you don't really need to go all that. Now mind you, I guess like Gil had said in one of his videos, if you've got the funds and you want it, by all means go ahead. We're not going to tell you what to do, but like most of us, where it's a hobby and we need to spend our money wisely, this might be the setup. I want to talk about it, so let's get into it. Alright guys, the air compressor in its basic form, this is a 3-gallon air compressor, fused, comes with very basic rudimentary gauges. These were all changed out and we're going to get to those. The downfall of this air compressor is this. It's loud! So what? 3 gallons, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes for this thing to pump up. And spray painting a car or detailing a model, it might pump itself 3 times in an hour. So, not that big of a deal. The other downfall of this air compressor when you buy it, essentially is, like we said, the gauges. When we purchased it and we were using this, we weren't doing models at the time, we were doing work outside and pumping up tire stuff. The thing ran and the gauges, literally the vibrations in the motor and stuff, eventually just rattled the gauges right off the machine. They were no good, they fell apart, the needles broke, the whole 9 yards. Guys, on sale, we purchased this in Canada from Canadian Tire. There's a million other places you can get these from because essentially, guys, there's one company that probably makes this air compressor. They paint them different colors and put stickers on them. They're all the same. I've seen them in hobby magazines. We paid on sale from Canadian Tire like 50 bucks. That was like 6, 7, 8 years ago, and this thing has pumped up tires and it's done a load of airbrushing. So it's probably a great investment. Like I said, guys, you could go out and spend $300-400 on a professional grade one that outperforms this tenfold. You can't even hear it run. Beautiful, great for apartments. I live in a house. I own a couple acres of land. There's nobody around me. It's in the basement. Everything's insulated. No big deal. So guys, let's go and talk about upgrades. What we have done is we have come up here. This is all factory. This here is just a strict gauge. It's incremented in 20-pound increments, and it's just telling you pressure within the tank. And the shut-off internally is set to like 100 psi or 110 psi, which is great. And that's where OEM'd stop. Guys, we went and purchased, this is about a $30 regulator. And what this does is air coming through this regulator, going up to this gauge here, you can dial this in. And this is crucial. In my opinion, this is crucial for airbrushing. We want to be able to dial it in. The gauge that I had on originally, the original upgrade I made, the gauge I had went in 10 psi increments, and the gauge was really small, so you really couldn't dial it in. And I think it went like 10, 20, 30, 40, but then each line itself represented, it was impossible to read. So this gauge here, we got it off of a high-end tire pressure gauge combination used, it's completely, I have used for service stations or professional mechanical grade stuff, so the gauge was extremely accurate. Gauge got broken, or the tool got broken, so I scavenged this off. This goes in 10-pound increments, or 10-pound displayed increments, and goes in, what is that, so it's going in about 2.5-pound jumps for each ticket line. The gauge is big, you can really dial it in. If I was to go to a higher end regulator, I'd be able to turn this dial, or this dial very precisely. So right now it's decent, not 100% great, but decent, great for what work we do. And then we went to quick coupler here because what I was finding is I would have to unscrew my airbrush or want to go clean something, I had to drain the whole tank and I just didn't have shut off. So we went to the quick disconnect, which is great. The other thing is though, the quick disconnect that I have is a little snug. What we need to do yet is air moisture trap, and it is right here. This is the wireless version. No, it's not. It's just one I've never put on, and the reason is it's got to go in before the gauge. It doesn't really fit, and it's got to be mounted this way. So I'm going to have to come in and add. So we need to upgrade. This is actually kind of neat because it's the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen, but it's actually got a little guard for the glass container. This here we bought at a store, and it was relatively expensive, but high humidity areas required. I haven't put one on. Got to do it up. But guys, this thing does work pretty decent for what it is. Do you need a high super end air compressor? Like we've already said, if you've got the money and you want to dispose of that income somehow, go ahead. But guys, if you're like us and a $300 air compressor buys, you know, that buys a lot of models, a lot of paints, and a lot of tools we really could use. So we dump 50 bucks in here and we turn around and put 350 into other awesome stuff, right? So guys, just, you know, spend our money wisely. Now, from there, we get into airbrushes. Now guys, you know we run a Badger Patriot 105. It's an amazing airbrush, love it. We run our Hardened Steelback Evolution. It's a super superior airbrush. We love it. That's another topic. We'll get into that some other day. But here we are, guys. Like I said, this little air compressor here, it's a basic, rudimentary, loud. Warranties like curb and guide. As soon as you get it home, the warranty's gone. Wait for them to come on sale. The hobby stores, the hardware stores, you can get them pretty cheap. You know, $100 with upgrades, way you go. So anyway, guys, that's my take on the topic. Don't forget to check out Gil over at Red Dragon Model Works for a much more in-depth, much more professional take on air compressors, airbrushes, techniques. Adios, guys. Thanks for tuning in.